Hey there, this video is coming to you from Logan International Airport in Boston, and this is titled, if you will, the Boston accent. So the Boston accent is often imitated, rarely duplicated. It's one of those things we say it's like lobster, you love it or you hate it. So speaking of lobster, speaking of the accent, I have Boston accent that I can turn on or I can turn down. I cannot turn off. And lately I've seen a lot of signs at a restaurant that say lobster, STAH, or other things like that. And for the record, we do not replace
Good afternoon,
the letter R
Japan
with
Airlines.
AH, so there is no lobster. And also the thing that people mistake about the Boston accent is there's not this long so it's not lobster, it's not parka, it's lobster, right? So it's lobster. The A just sort of drops over. There's no big long, drawn out ah. And you may have heard the accent in various movies, The Town, some of the other ones, any of those that have Ben Affleck in it and his sidekick there, Matt Damon, the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. Some of them are actually pretty funny. And there's a good video that was out recently actually called The Boston Accent by one of the late night guys, Seth something or other maybe. And, when I was younger, I worked at Mass General Hospital in Boston. And one day I was in my office, I was talking to my friend Tom about golf that previous weekend. And I was talking about, this par 3 or this long par 4. One of the courses we went to actually has like the longest par 5 in Massachusetts. So, talking on the phone, there's 3 people, I call them carpetbaggers because they're from Connecticut, New York, or other such places. And they're outside my office and they're giggling, and I'm like, oh, something funny's going on in the office. So in any case, I hang up with Tom and I go outside of the office and I say, hey, what's so funny? And they're like, you said pa. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, you've got an accent. And I turned to them like deadpan. I was, kind of pulling their chain a little bit, but deadpan. I said, hey, look, I live here. This is how we speak. You have an accent. And I shut the door and went in the office. And they were, I wouldn't say aghast, but they were taken aback a little bit. But, it is like, this is the way we speak here. So you wouldn't go to Austin, Texas, or Tennessee, or some of these other places that have strong accents, even Chicago, New York, New Jersey, and give them a hard time about the way they speak. I mean, that's the way we speak. It sounds different to people who are not from here, right? And that's why when people try to imitate the Boston accent, like right away, and anyone from Boston can spot that. So we have a hard time watching these Hollywood folks in movies trying to do the Boston accent, because it's just, as I said, often duplicated, often imitated, rarely duplicated. So, I'll give you a quick lesson in some Boston, most of what it is around the R's, right? And so sometimes I pronounce the R's, sometimes I don't. If I'm out with my friends, my local friends, I pretty much just have the accent, right? My name is Appa, which is tricky if you've got a Boston accent. It's got 2 R's in it, of which I drop both. Now, when I go to Starbucks and they ask me my name, honestly, I say Joe a lot, because if I say Arthur, they can't understand it, and if I say Arthur, they can't spell it. So I just say Joe. Everybody knows Joe, and that's pretty easy. So the Boston accent, some of the words, obvious ones like car. We also do like bathtub. Like, we don't call it a bath, we call it a bath. I'm not too sure where that comes from. I think it all comes from England at some point. But what you have to understand is that our parents had the Boston accent. Our teachers had the Boston accent. It really wasn't until I got to college that it became clear that other people didn't speak the same way that I did. And once again, I tried to pronounce some R's here and there, but after a while I was like, you know what? This is who I am. This is let's call it my authentic self. So with that, this is Atta. signing off from Logan International Airport in Boston. I don't think you can see the harbor behind me, but there are a few planes taking off and landing. And that's today's episode on the Boston accident.